Good evening. Thank you so much for coming tonight. It's going to be an exciting evening. But to start off, if you'd please stand for the pledge and then remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for a special treat.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets wriggling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, see, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And that was Denise Eds, straight from Carnegie Hall in 2012. And you may be seeing her sometime in the future. So, tonight we're doing a double dipping on you. We're going after the GAC report, the impact report, and how important we are to our region, to our state. If you haven't read it thoroughly or taken it off online, you really need to, but you will get the straight answers here. It's very, very interesting as far as I'm concerned. And also, LLI, that is the university's extension for Lifelong Learning Institute. And for those of you who have not registered, for those of you who have registered, thank you so much. For those of you who have not, hopefully afterwards we will be here late into the evening until we get all of you registered. So, without further ado, rules of engagement, as you all know. You have your answer, you have your question cards. If their question comes up, please write it down. The ushers will be bringing it forward. And I think that's really it. Please silence your phones. But I would also like to take one moment to make my colleagues stand up even though they don't want to. Bob Cunningham from the board. Bill Rowe from the board. Mike Medica, president. And John Whiter, I think he's in the booth. Thank you guys for your support. So, now, without further ado, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Marcy. First, I'd like to recognize Jerry Urich, who is the immediate past chair of the Government Affairs Committee, and this study was started under his watch and I guess finished under mine. So, Jerry, thank you for your your hard work. Well, electronic problem already? Maybe not. Also, I want to recognize Lou Otto, who is not here tonight. He's visiting on the West Coast, or East Coast, rather. He may be headed back in this direction based on what's going on with the weather. But Lou was the team leader for the GAC in this endeavor. Although the study was authored by Dr. Miller, Lou orchestrated, with the help of a lot of others who will be recognized later, in putting this report together. They coordinated with the many POA members and as well as a POA staff in providing a great deal of background information. So Lou deserves a lot of credit for this report, and I want to make sure that we recognize him. This is just another iteration of the economic study reports that have taken place in past years, starting in 1983. And those well, you can't see it, but in bold are those that were authored by Dr. Miller. The report covers 5 sections, and we're going to cover 3 tonight, those that are highlighted in red. Population characteristics, the private sector benefits, and the public sector benefits of Hot Springs Village, economic benefits. Go. Now I know which button to push. We'll start out with the residents of Hot Springs Village. There are 14,000 people here, and they moved here from every state in the Union, plus 12 foreign countries. They were born 16% in Arkansas. Okay, let me take that. 16% in Arkansas, 81% in other states, and 3% in other countries. Start over again. Help. Okay, we'll try the third time charms. Good. Okay. Finally, we're not a very diverse community as compared to the United States. I didn't have the figures on Arkansas, but we're classified 97% white, black or African American 1%, Asian less than 1%, and other 2%. As compared to the U.S., our black or African American population is 13%, Asian 5%, and other 6%. Now we have to talk about something that's not always pleasant, and that's our age. We're about 30 years, our median age is about 30 years greater than that of Arkansas and in the United States. 75% of us are over 50 years or older, as compared to about 20% for the state and for the U.S. This may be surprising to some of you that we have 560 students in the village, at least during a school year 2014-2015 in the village. That's about 26% of the total population of the two schools that serve the village. Educational level, high school grad, and these are 65 years or older, 96%. And you can see the comparison with Arkansas and the U.S. Here's where the village shines above the crowd in that 36% have bachelor's degrees or higher as compared to 16% Arkansas and 23% for the U.S. Household income, a little over $54,000 as compared to the U.S. of a little over $53,000. Saline County has the highest household population of any county in the state. Garland County is somewhat below that. Sources of income. 78% of the residents of Hot Springs Village receive Social Security benefits. 54% have other retirement income. 36% earnings from jobs and from investments and the like, and other 3%. Those who work in the village, and this is 23% of the population, and these includes both full-time jobs and full-time part-time jobs, 23%. And it's interesting that the areas, private wage, salaried workers, and the other categories are fairly consistent with the state and the country. Housing, again, heavy on residential. The type of structures, some significant variation as compared to the state as a whole in the U.S. in that 93% are single unit structures. Also, our houses are newer than in the state and the U.S. 58% are about 25 years old or less. A higher number of bedrooms as compared to the rest of the state. Mortgages, well, we're not too much on difference on owner-occupied properties, 54% as compared to 57% for the state and 66% for the U.S. One of the things that the study did is it assigned or calculated, taking the total contribution in taxes that made by village residents, and then calculated the cost allocation to each of the students within the village. We contributed almost $15 billion in school tax to the two schools, and the cost for our 560 students was a little less than $4 million, leaving a net benefit of $11 million. This was during school year 2014-15. On general county taxes, not quite as much. We contributed about a little over $4 million, and our cost allocation was $2.5 million, leaving a net benefit to the two counties of $1.6 million. I might point out that Garland County has a sales tax. Saline County does not have a sales tax. Getting over to the economic benefits, Professor used a model, a well-known economic model for calculating the total economic benefit. And what he did was he took the actual expenditure in each of these categories and then applied the model to those expenditures to get some added value. And some of the dollars spent turn over multiple times, where others do not. So the final results was the villages, and this is not, keep in mind, does not involve the contribution we make to government. This is strictly to private enterprise. We contribute $370 million in 2015 to the overall state's economy. And this equates to over $26,000 per Hot Springs Village resident. And we created 5,400 jobs from this economic contribution. $236 million of that, or almost 2/3, was spent in Garland and Saline counties. I want to recognize some of the people who had a contribution to this study report: the Government Affairs Working Group, and then the Hot Springs Village staff. All of those people contributed a lot to this report. This was certainly a team effort and a community effort to put this report together. If you're interested in reading the report, and we're into the second printing, you can find it online at that website. And on the two tables, as you exit the auditorium, there are some little business cards that shows you that website. And so you can not only view this report, but there are 5 other reports, the previous reports, on that website. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about lifelong learning. That acronym floating around here for a few weeks now. This is So I want to try to explain a little bit more about what that is all about. First of all, though, we have some distinguished guests that I would like to introduce that are affiliated with this lifelong learning program. Our first guest, is Dr. Zulma Toro. She's the Executive Vice Chancellor of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, and she's also the Provost. So we've got a two-hatter here with us tonight, and no telling how many postgraduate degrees. So the other person is Lisa Davis. Lisa is the Director of the Distributed Learning Program for UALR at the Benton campus, and one of the co-founders of this pilot program here in the village. And last is Dr. Susan Aldridge. Susan is the new lifelong learning program coordinator for the village, and she's going to be coordinating the activities of the program here in the village. My name is Jim Harlow. I'm with the Governmental Affairs Group, and also I'm on the steering committee of the Lifelong Learning. So welcome. We're certainly glad you're here. Marcy said she was hoping that all of you had signed up for the Lifelong Learning Program, and based on our showing of how technologically proficient we are here, we have contacted Chief Middleton, and he is in the process. We know who signed up, and so he's in the process as I speak of applying boots to your car of the folks who haven't already signed up for Lifelong Learning. And if you'll just submit your receipt upon exiting the auditorium. We'll get the boots removed from you laggers. Okay? Gerald had a number of different facts, and I want us to really absorb those facts for a minute, because I've got a couple of more facts for you. But when you think about, regardless of what you hear and read in the paper, the Village is a pretty big dog here in Arkansas, as they say in southern Arkansas. We've got a lot going on, and it's a pretty doggone good place to live. And even in a flat economic cycle, we've got some pretty impressive statistics. When you look at $371 million of economic activity in the state of Arkansas that was directly generated by our 14,000 residents, that's pretty good. And when we've increased the number of jobs in the area from 2010 until 2015, we've increased the jobs by 1,741 jobs. We went from 3,648 in 2010 all the way up to 5,400 jobs generated by just us in the local area in 2015. So I think we ought to let's give ourselves a hand on that. One other little tidbit of news, which is kind of good, is that I got an email this afternoon stating that there's a retirement group called retirements.com, and it's a pretty big player in the active lifestyle environment in the United States, and they do a lot of the best places to live and 100 top communities and these kinds of things. They just came out with their 100 top best active lifestyle communities 55 years old and up for this year, and the Village is number 4. We've never even made the list before. Like I said, we've never even been on that list before. So another piece of good news, I think. I said I had a few other facts to you. I wanted to give you a couple of more facts that I want you to think about. 79 million people right now are retirement age in the United States. That means 65 years old. 10,000 are retiring each and every day, having their retirement party, not just eligible to retire, but actually walking off the payroll. 10,000 per day, 1 every 8 seconds, 3.5 million every year. Out of those 10,000 people that are retiring every year or every day in the United States, Arkansas is getting 10,000 per year. That's the bad part of that equation. So we're getting 10,000 per year out of the 10,000 per day that retire. That's 0.0038%, 0.3%. So that's not a very good return on our investment in trying to get people out of that pool. So how do we increase that number? We need to bring in more retirees and relocators. Remember, there are retirees and there are also relocators. Relocators are those people that can retire, that can come and live here and are not necessarily retirement age, but they have the wherewithal and the business mobility to go anywhere in the United States they want or anywhere in the world and live. Those are also the people that we're trying to recruit and to come to Arkansas and also to come to the Village. We have a pretty good story to tell. You know, we've got the largest gated community in the United States or the world, depending on what publication you listen to. We've got a beautiful environment, as you all well know. We've got a fairly good cost of living, and we have a pretty good tax structure in Arkansas. And we have top-notch amenities. So what can we do to get us and set us apart? What can we do to set us apart? Well, when we were looking at the retiree relocation projects with the Governmental Affairs Committee, we found one common denominator. Of all the retirement communities in the United States that are the top players, one of the common denominators, whether they were in Arizona, Florida, Virginia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, which is becoming a big retirement and relocation area, one common denominator that all of these big players had was that they had a direct, strong community education tie with a local university. or a local community college. Because what the surveys are showing now is that people are not just coming for the amenities anymore. The baby boomers want something more. They don't necessarily just want to come for golf or the lakes or the hiking trails now. Learning and continuing learning is becoming more and more important to this demographic. And they want to learn for the sake of learning, not necessarily for a grade. And so that is becoming a bigger and bigger recruitment factor with all of these communities. Now you say, well, you know, we've got a tie, an educational tie. We have National Park Community College, and that has been a nice affiliation with us for over the years. But one of the problems that we've had with that affiliation, and some of you have taken courses with National Park, they did a good job, but one of the things that was missing was that there was no customization of those courses. They didn't look at the audience and see what the audience wanted. And I've used this example before, but I'll use it again. I remember a couple of years ago, we said that we'd like to have basic language training in the village. We thought that would be good. And National Park said that they could bring that language training up. So we were going to teach basic Spanish, language training. It met with varying degrees of success. And when we look back on why that language training didn't work that well, we found that it wasn't customized to the audience. What happened was they brought their Spanish 101 freshman Spanish course to the village. So we had a bunch of 60-year-olds spending the first 6 weeks learning how to conjugate verbs and what pronoun to use. That's not what you want. You want to know how to order a beer on your next cruise to Mazatlan, right? You want to know how to talk to the Spanish waiter or the vendor in the marketplace or the hotel clerk. And so when we started looking at how we could do something about this, Kismet happened. I got a call from Susan. And Susan said, let's talk about this lifelong learning stuff and see how we can incorporate that. And we first started looking at this in Hot Springs. Hot Springs didn't want anything to do with it. They thought it was just a tourism or a convention type activity where they could just bring in folks and take care of it there. So they didn't really have much interest. And I said, well, let's bring it to the village and see what happens. Shortly afterwards, Susan and Lisa had a conversation, and Lisa said, well, we're looking at expanding our footprint on the Benton campus with UALR and our distributed learning, and this may be a wonderful opportunity for us to partner and do a pilot program in the village. We've got an educated populace, we've got time, we've got interest, and we're mobile. We like to travel, we like to learn, we like to do new things, and so this fit very well with what Lisa and Dr. Toro were thinking about as far as their lifelong learning. Now, there are other lifelong learning programs all over the United States, and Susan will talk about those in a few minutes. But that conversation started in early June, so this is a relatively new concept to us. But since then, we've had focus groups. We brought in 20 people for 2 different focus groups, 20 each. We thought we had a good cross representation. 75 people showed up for the focus groups for those sessions. So we knew we had something going on here as far as interest. When Lisa developed the program, she looked at the program and said, why don't we do three phases of this program? One would be customized community education, meaning the people that are going to receive the courses and the training are going to be the ones that help identify what they would like to have and also how to design the program. So it's going to be direct customization instead of just laying something over on top of an existing program and hoping it succeeds. The second part of the program is called the Travel Scholars phase. And this is a pretty exciting piece of the program. The first two segments are more internally focused, talking about having something that the villagers here are going to be involved directly with. The last part of this program that I'll talk about is a little bit more externally focused. But the Travel Scholars program has a lot of interest. How many of you are familiar with Elder Hostel? Almost everybody. How many of you have traveled with Elder Hostel? Quite a few. Elder Hostel is now called Rhodes Scholar. And when we contacted them, it was sort of on a lark, but we wanted to have a travel program that would complement our courses, and also travel programs that would stand alone. Taking my Spanish course example, for instance, wouldn't it be neat to take a 6 weeks basic Spanish course, transactional Spanish, and then have a tour associated with that at the end of the course, and you go to Mexico or Cuba to help try out your new Spanish language for a week. So that's how the travel program can dovetail into our customized course curriculum. Elder Hostel said that they would love to have us involved as an affiliate for them in Arkansas. And what that does is that opens up their whole travel scholar program or Elder Hostel catalog to us as affiliates. So part of your membership is going to be able to be an affiliate of that whole program. And they go all over the world. There's probably not a place in the world that the Rhodes Scholar Program doesn't visit. And this is more than just a tour. These are educational tours that really get involved with behind the scenes on the culture, the history, the cuisine, all the kinds of stuff. So this is not your basic, 7-day tour or cruise. And we're going to have the opportunity to have associations with that, with customized tours with our Lifelong Learning Institute here in the village, or what they call the tag-along program, that if someone, if we don't have a customized tour, you can tag along with an existing group that's going someplace through Rhodes Scholar. So that's going to be fun, I think. And we're working on our first trip in the spring, and Susan will talk a little bit more about that. The last part of this program, and then I'll turn it over to Lisa, is the Retiree Relocation Exploration Weekend, and that is that external focused program that I talked about. There's a program in Nashville, North Carolina. It's affiliated with their Lifelong Learning Institute with the University of North Carolina at Asheville. It's been running for about 25 years, and what they did is they have a 3-day workshop where they invite people to come in who are contemplating retirement or relocation, and you go through a 3-day workshop of everything you ever wanted to know about how to properly plan and participate in the retirement process. And it's a wonderful program. They've been doing it, as I said, for 25 years. What an interesting outcome of that program was that they found that they were converting 35% of the participants to full-time Asheville, North Carolina residency. So I thought, wow, they bring in 100 couples for a workshop, they convert 35 of them to full-time residents. That's a pretty good marketing program for the village. And so this is going to be something that we're going to be working on in conjunction with the POA for the fall of 2017. And it'll be run by us with help from some of the experts, but who better knows what to tell people about how to properly plan and prepare for retirement than you folks. You've already gone through the process. So we're going to have a faculty that hopefully is going to be heavy on local involvement. So those are the 3 legs of the program and the kind of the history. Lisa is going to talk a little bit about UALR's involvement, and then Susan's going to get down to the nitty-gritty with you on what our local program is all about. So Lisa?
First, I want to extend a very special thank you to Jim Harlow. Without his enthusiasm, involvement, and leadership, we would not be here tonight. He has been a true local champion and primary catalyst in the development of this Lifelong Learning Institute. Jim, I can't thank you enough. Next, I have the pleasure to introduce my mentor. Dr. Zulma Toro is the Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs and Provost at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. As Provost, Dr. Toro is responsible for overseeing over 500 full-time faculty members and approximately 12,000 undergraduate and graduate students. She also helps establish relationships with industry, government, and alumni for the university. Prior to coming to UALR, Dr. Toro served as the Dean of the College of Engineering at Wichita State, Kansas, and the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science at the University of New Haven, Connecticut. She was also Chancellor at University of Puerto Rico from 1999 to 2001. She earned her PhD from Georgia Institute of Technology, master's degree in industrial and operations engineering from the University of Michigan, and undergraduate degree in industrial engineering from University of Puerto Rico. She's a change agent, innovator, and visionary for UALR, striving to implement initiatives that will change the trajectory for students, faculty and staff, and the institution as a whole. She has fostered such programs as Reimagining the First Year, the Trojan Experience Student Success Plan, Diversity and Inclusion Plan, Trojan Mentorship, Faculty Mentorship, and the new Lifelong Learning Institute. She has supported the creation of the Institute, which will provide value-added educational opportunities for citizens residing in the Hot Springs Village community and beyond. Dr. Toro.
Lisa, thank you for that introduction. Now you know more about me than what you care to know. It's a real pleasure to be here today to discuss this exciting initiative and partnership. And I will give you a brief history of who we are. University of Arkansas at Little Rock, the Benton Center, distributed learning within ULR, and then why we are interested and involved in this type of partnerships. Almost 90 years ago, University of Arkansas at Little Rock opened its door because people in central Arkansas needed access to higher education. The small school continued to grow because public service was at the heart of the institution. Public service is still the heart of ULR. And over the years, we have continued to meet the needs of the community by expanding our offerings. Through the 1930s, 40s, 50s, we experienced tremendous growth thanks to partnerships with the community and our interest in fulfilling the needs of the community. Through the generosity and hard work of business leaders, community groups, faculty and staff, the institution grew from a 2-year college to a university that offers both undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today, we serve nearly 12,000 students and employ nearly 500 faculty members. We are most proud of serving the diverse needs of all types of students through our night, weekend, off-campus, online classes, and additional campus locations. We are the only metropolitan research community engaged university in the state of Arkansas. The Benton Center played an important part in ULR's role in establishing distributed learning beginning in 1975. Many in Saline County found it difficult to make the trip to ULR's campus for classes. But we refused to be limited by geographic location. So, in 1975, we started offering evening classes at Benton High School. The Saline County Education Association and ULR continued to work together, and in 1995, 20 years later, the ULR Benton Center officially opened its door. The center offered college courses to 83 students that year. Now, the center services over 500 students a year. The Benton Center offers associate degrees, a Bachelor of Science in e-commerce and nursing degree courses. We call this approach to higher education distributed learning because we firmly believe that education should not be dictated or limited based on where someone lives. We believe that we have to meet the students where they are. In fact, ULR distributed learning reaches students all over, not only the state of Arkansas, but the world. In addition to the Benton Center, students enjoy the convenience of staying close to home as they pursue their studies through our high school concurrent program and 2+2 partnerships like the one we have with the University of Arkansas Hope Texarkana. Now, the staff at the Benton Center will reach even more people with the Lifelong Learning Institute. It is our pleasure and our responsibility to establish a community of learning that makes resources accessible to the general public and to local, state, national, and international groups. This responsibility includes creating opportunities for access to the university's academic and other resources. Serving the needs of the community is always at the heart of what we do at ULR, and the response we have received from you, Hot Springs Village, has energized our efforts. The Lifelong Learning Institute will strengthen and establish partnership with community-based organizations, provide educational opportunities for those who wish to enhance their skills, provide solutions for pressing issues in society, and equip every participant to be a lifelong learner. These goals speak directly to the ULR's mission to use quality instruction to instill in students a lifelong desire to learn, to use knowledge in ways that will contribute to society, and to apply the resources and research skills of the university community to the service of the city, the state, the nation, and the world in ways that will benefit humanity. It is our hope that the Institute will be a self-supporting entity that will serve as a model that can fulfill needs in other communities as well, with a model that includes customized community education, travel scholars, and retirement relocation exploration weekend. I am confident the program will be enjoyable and fulfilling. Perhaps the most unique aspect of the program is how involved community members like you have been in the development of the curriculum for the program. Your willingness to partner with us has been amazing. People who are willing to share their various experiences, expertise, and talent with others provide the catalyst for change, and acquiring knowledge is not a practice that ends at a certain age, time, or level of education. Lifelong learners are well-rounded individuals like you who influence the world. There is a popular passage from a science fiction novel titled Time Enough for Love. The author, Robert A. Heinlein, writes, "A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a sheep, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manage, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, die gallantly." Specialization is for insects. I don't usually brag, but I must admit, I know how to do most of the things on that list, but not all. My quest to become the best well-rounded person I can be continues. I know that becoming a lifelong learner can be challenged, and I admire you for your desire to become a lifelong learner. I read somewhere that there are 4 common things that people see as barriers to becoming lifelong learners: money, time, information, and location. When barriers to education are identified, it is my belief and my duty to tear them down. This program, this institute, tears those barriers down. And with your help, The ULR Lifelong Learning Institute will become the model for lifelong learning in Arkansas and in this region of the nation. Thank you for being here tonight, and go Trojans.
I bring to you the UALR Trojan Warrior, Lisa Davis. The real Lisa Davis would rather pay more taxes than speak publicly. Well, with the 2016 being an election year, I unfortunately may end up doing just that. However, as the UALR Trojan Warrior, I'm so excited to have the privilege of helping bring the UALR Lifelong Learning Institute to Hot Springs Village. Lifelong learning is the ongoing, voluntary, and self-motivated pursuit of knowledge for either personal or professional reasons. Therefore, it enhances social inclusion, active citizenship, and personal development. In our focus groups, I heard so many of you say, quote, "Now we get to learn what we never had time to learn before." You asked for it, and the University of Arkansas at Little Rock is delivering. I invite Dr. Susan Aldridge, the UALR Director of the Lifelong Learning Institute, to share the details of this awesome new UALR initiative. Thank you.
Well, I must say that I'm delighted to be working with UALR, which is my alma mater for my doctorate, so I'm pleased to be a part of that. How many lifelong learners do we have here tonight? All right. How many wannabe lifelong learners do we have here tonight? Okay, a few of those too. Marcy, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the Friends of the Village for hosting us tonight, and I want to thank you for being here. While this program may be new to you and to me, the roots of adult education programs as we know them today, the lifelong learning programs, can be traced back to the 1700s. In fact, American inventor and our constitutional founding father, Benjamin Franklin, established a weekly study group of 12 people who met and discussed community and social interest. Now, my introduction to lifelong learning 3 centuries later was not that different. One early June afternoon, I looked out the window of the condo where I was staying in Asheville, North Carolina, and I saw these people going into a building just across the street from me, and all of these adults were casually dressed, and they were going in maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 or 4 at a time. And I have been known to crash parties before, and my curiosity just got the best of me, so I wanted to go over there and see what was going on, and I did. I went over, and I walked in, and I looked like a newbie to the group, and this woman came up to me, and she introduced herself, and she said, "This is a library where you bring your dog, and you drink wine, and you read, and you talk about social and community issues. Today, we're having a wine tasting." I thought, this is my kind of place, right off. So she then said to me, she said, "Where are you from, and what brings you to Asheville?" And I said, "Well, I'm from Arkansas, and I'm here for your Crew Weekend, for your Creative Exploration Weekend that Jim talked about." I did that, it's for people predominantly who are 3 to 5 years out of retirement, and I didn't know that the lifelong learning program with UALR would be an opportunity not to go into retirement. So anyway, I had a interesting time there. That evening, she said to me though, she said, "Well, just hang with us." She said, "We're going over to Mellow Mushroom and eat pizza and play charades later this evening." She said, "So just hang with us." That evening, I had dinner with 8 to 10 people who had relocated to Asheville, North Carolina, from different regions of the United States. And when I asked why they relocated to Asheville in retirement, Each of them had a different reason, but they did have one thing in common, and that was all of them mentioned the educational opportunities that were extended to them through the University of North Carolina at Asheville's Lifelong Learning Program. Asheville is the oldest and the most notable continuing successful program that I'm aware of in the country. The Center for Creative Retirement was established in 1988 by the chancellor there, Chancellor Brown, when they only had 3,000 undergraduate students. He saw it as an economic driver for that region, and indeed it was and continues to be. They started in 1988 with 165 participants. When I was there in 2010, they had grown to over 800, and they now have almost 2,300 participants in their lifelong learning program. Conditions that have encouraged lifelong learning programs to flourish include lengthening of life, improved health and economic status among the retirement age adults, and higher rates of education or prior education, as well as the rising popularity of these programs. I believe, as Dr. Toro mentioned, that this program can be a model for our state and for this region. And I've been asked a myriad of questions about the program, and I'm going to try to address some of those for you tonight. Like, where's it located? What's the goal? What are the benefits? Where will the classes be held? Who decides the curriculum? Well, here are the answers to some of those, and the reason that this program will set us apart, set UALR's lifelong learning program apart from others. Our goal is to provide accomplished adults with opportunities for lifelong learning with the fellowship of peers, sharing a common quest for continuing growth. Jim mentioned the fact that we ask you what we can do for you. What can we deliver? What can we bring to you? You know, I've worked in higher education for more than 30 years, and one of the things that I discovered is that we have created some phenomenal curriculum. I mean, just phenomenal. And we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment. And lo and behold, you know, the problem was that nobody ever enrolled. Why? We didn't ask. We didn't ask. We thought that was a program that was needed, and we didn't ask if anybody was going to enroll in it. We bring this program to you. You're members of the Lifelong Learning Program. You will help us develop the curriculum, set the objectives, and implement the goals through a committee structure in collaboration with UALR's professional staff. Now, you may wonder how we determined the first and initial offerings that you saw tonight, or maybe you picked up a flyer. So I'm going to just touch on that briefly because Jim has already mentioned the two focus groups. They were led by our facilitator, Amy Thompson. Amy, stand, please. We thank her for that and for those who participated in those focus groups. They met in July and they brainstormed and created an abundance of ideas and opportunities. We knew at that time, at the beginning, that we would have to say no to some very good ideas in order to offer the very best ideas. In a follow-up survey, we asked the group to rank those topics from most favorite to least favorite in terms of what would appeal to you as residents. And we invited participants also to volunteer to serve on the curriculum committee, publicity, and membership committee. I'd like to introduce our steering committee. And I would ask you to stand, please, and wait till all of the committees have been introduced. If your name is on here, I won't call you by name, but these are the people that are serving on the steering committee. If you're on that, would you please stand? Harlow, you're on it. Amy? Is Bobby Bateman? Is anybody else here tonight? Okay. Our curriculum committee, Will you stand? Members of the Curriculum Committee. All right. And Membership Committee. Membership Committee. And the Publicity Committee. All of these committees have worked very, very hard to help us get the word out. Give them an applaud, if you will. I appreciate, as does Lisa, all of these individuals who wanted to serve on committees, and we invite others of you to serve as well. Just let us know what committee you would like to serve on, and we will be happy to have you participate with us. Well, the survey results are up here, and what we synthesized all the information that we received and presented that to the curriculum committee, and we had 4 areas that had a special level of interest, and we thought with those we would start the program. We could begin to offer some classes and see how well they were received, and then move on from there. Practical technology and other skill development classes was one of the areas, and this is just a simple thing like how to use your smartphone better and Google everything, the Google Drive, how to be able to use Google Drive. Local and state history discussions and trips that had to do with landmarks or museums. Some of these would be day trips, some of them a couple of days, but that was of a special interest as well. And you probably can't read that slide from where you are, but among others were information and discussion about social issues like religion, security, environment, etc. Spousal relationships after retirement. That was another one, moving into transition from a hectic work life into making good choices when we have time on our hands. Phases of that people go through in their golden years. Trips to state parks and education and local learning opportunities, because many of you, as we saw on this slide, come from other regions of the country, and there may be some things that you don't know about Hot Springs that you would like to know in the history of this area. Cultural classes, arts, language, music, and theater, and doing some art appreciation classes, for example, before you go to an art exhibit or before you hear a musical production. Having someone involved from the Documentary Film Institute and talking about the films and having those out here, having a filmmaker. One that was very, very popular, however, had to do with the culinary skills and ethnic type cooking. And the request was that we would make that multi-sensory, that we not only have the dinner experience, but that we also include the art and the history and the music from the area from which the cuisine had emerged. And the LLI educational component could then be tied, as Jim has mentioned, to future travel scholars program experiences. Other areas that were listed were service learning was one of them, as well as medicine, how to manage health after 60, and a number of things like that. But we have, at this point, selected those 4 topics, and we're going to hone in on that initially. We want you to join us and rediscover the joy of learning through the UALR Lifelong Learning Institute. Now, I'm not naive enough to believe that everybody's going to enroll in everything. I know better. For example, not everyone here tonight wants to accompany Miss Eds and a group to perform in Carnegie Hall, but some of you might, while others would just enjoy going to see the performance and tour historic sites like the 9/11 Museum. Some of you may not care about Googling everything, but you really are interested in the history of the old Army-Navy hospital or Hot Springs during World War II. Some of you may not care about how to prepare desserts in the Big Easy, but you won't want to miss Southern Delight, which is going to be prepared by Chef Paul, who is here tonight. Chef Paul, thank you very much for coming. With an entertainment component, a history of the music that made the South famous by Al White. I know that if we provide a smorgasbord of quality, informative programs, that you're bound to find something you'll like. I know that. And so here's what we have planned for you initially. Next week, in fact, in the Coronado Center, in room 5, Gary Jackson is going to present a program on the Majestic Hotel and the history of that hotel. He has presented glimpses of the people like Babe Ruth, the gangster Bugsby Morton, Alan Ladd, and Phyllis Diller, who stayed at the Majestic. And as you all know and have seen in the news, it will be gone by the early part of November. So we thought that would be a very timely history program that you might enjoy. That one is sponsored by LLI. If you didn't sign up tonight for the program and you want to take a look-see at us and just see what we're doing, please come. Please come and bring friends, and I think you will enjoy learning about that history. Gary is a rich historian involved with the Garland County Historical Society. On the 3rd of November, another history, and that is, it will be at the Arkansas Career Training Institute, but it's about the old Army Navy Hospital. I have actually participated in this program, and the room we're going to be in, it formerly was the veranda of that building, and they actually wheeled the veterans out so that they could sun on that roof. I've seen this history. We'll have lunch there and have a tour of that facility. So I'm excited about it. And if you're a history buff, you should be too. Then finally, on December the 7th, Liz Robbins, who is the head of the Garland County Historical Society, and Mike Blythe, who is the author of Then and Now, Hot Springs, will present a program in the Arlington Hotel, which was taken over during World War II. So I think that that's one that you will enjoy. That program is being sponsored by Morgan Stanley, so it's free, and so we want you to come and participate. And then, in addition, we have a couple of lunch and learn with the Culinary Institute at Pulaski Technical College of Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management. Two of their chefs will be presenting. One of them will present, give us ideas about quiche and demonstrate preparations of preparing it, and crepes and appetizers. The second one is going to do a program on desserts in the Big Easy. She was actually one of 4 chefs that participated in July in the American Culinary Federation's National Pastry Chef Competition. So we have a lot to look forward to there. And then at the Coronado Center on November the 7th, as I've already mentioned, a very special Southern cuisine prepared by Chef Paul with entertainment and a history of music by Al White. A couple of things that we are working on. There's some other cooking things that are related. We are working also, I'm working with a geek squad to do a presentation on using your phone and all things Google. And finally, the educational components of the multi-sensory cultural dinner experience, which is going to include French and Southern cuisine, jazz and blues and art and history, will culminate with a riverboat cruise from Memphis to New Orleans next spring. And it is just been put on the list of Rhodes Scholars programs, travel programs as well. So we have that to look forward to. So if if you are interested in joining tonight, let me tell you how you can do that. Tonight, we have a discounted annual fee of $35 for a single and $65 for a couple. Many of you have asked about the benefits, and they are, membership dues are tax deductible. You have priority enrollment for LLI courses and special events, discounts on program fees and courses, 10% discount at the bookstore on apparel, and 10% discount on UALR access to season passes for some of their athletic programs, and we have access to the Rhodes Scholars Program. So tonight, if you want to join, you can pay by check, you can pay by a credit card with the UALR Benton staff that have a table out front. Turn in your form and sign up at the table in the lobby. If you want to register later, anytime in the future, you can go to our website and register there. And if you wonder what you can do to help us, you can help us by spreading the word about the Lifelong Learning Institute and the great opportunities that we're going to provide. Connect us with stakeholders who have an interest in supporting or sponsoring our programs, and present information about LLI at your next club meeting, or invite us and we will do a program at your club meetings. If you have suggestions for classes or travel opportunities that you'd like for us to include in the future, then please, we want them. This is your program, and there can't be any artificial starts. We've got to do what you want to do, what you want to learn, and it's delivered through you and by you. Because if we don't, this program will go out of existence. It's all about what your needs are and how we go about meeting those. So, again, in order for it to be sustainable and grow, it must belong to you. You must be vested in it, committed to it, and passionately involved. The Asheville program started because somebody had a vision and they invested in it. And as we live and we learn and we finesse and massage this program, it's this new program, because the membership changes and people's interest change. They'll develop new interest, and we'll need to work that program and massage it and change it as we move along. And we want feedback about how we can improve, and we'll be assessing it, each one of these programs, and see if we're delivering what you need. But I'd like for you just to imagine what the Lifelong Learning Institute can mean to Hot Springs Village and its residents in the future. If we live it and we learn, just imagine what it can mean here. I look forward to working with you in the future so very much, and I thank you tonight for your participation, your interest thus far, and hope to see all of you next week.
If our ushers or bouncers are in the aisle and can bring down any question cards. Do we have any question cards coming down? I do have some that came in through email to me that I can start with. Then you can bring me the others. First of all, I'd like to mention, if you become a